E3 2016 is happening. Kinda Funny's going all out with Let's Plays and reaction videos all week long. Subscribe now at youtube.com/kindafunnygames to not miss a thing. What's up, guys? I'm Tim Geddes. This is Colin Moriarty, and right over here, we got Resident Evil 7.
Colin Biohazard.
Awesome. And in Japan,
Biohazard.
Colin Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, out of left field.
Yeah. So there was a long rumors. I had predicted that Resident Evil 7 would be at the show and come out this fall. It's going to come out a little later. It's going to come out in January. Capcom needs a little bit more time. The cool thing about this is twofold. PlayStation VR compatible from front to back, which is fucking amazing. It's completely amazing. This might be really the first true AAA fleshed out campaign that we are going to play in VR. I don't know of any other games that are going to be of this level that are going to be fully playable. I mean, we have great looking games, but they're not campaign based. I mean, this is going to be maybe a 12 or 15 hour game probably. The cooler thing is that kitchen demo that's been floating around for a long time has been an Easter egg, and no one had realized it. Very similar to PT with Silent Hills that Konami did. So, that Konami did. So,
Would you pointed this out to me earlier that in the kitchen logo, there's actually the VII. Like the
Greg, I don't want to take credit for that. Greg pointed that out. Yeah,
and that's awesome. Like, that's super cool. That kitchen demo was one of my favorite VR experiences I've ever done so far. So I'm really excited that that's actually a Resident Evil. Like, that's super, super cool. I'm also really excited. I was talking about this on PS I Love You, that it's called Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it to be Resident Evil. I wanted, like, all right, I want a reboot of the series to go back to its horror roots or whatever. But I think that it's smart that they're going with the 7 now with what this is to really show that this is a real full game, even though it's VR. Because I think it would have been easy for a Resident Evil VR game to be like, all right.
Yeah.
But no, this is Resident Evil 7, and the whole thing's in VR. And I think that the VR is key to going back to the survival horror roots. It's like, it's a whole new way to get scared. And I think that's kind of what the survival horror, specifically Resident Evil, needs, is a kick in the ass, a new way to bring the fear out of you.
To bring the noise, as it were.
Bring the noise.
Yeah, I think that, I really do believe this game has been in development for a very long time, but it also seems to be heavily inspired by what horror games are doing now, which is really more about, and I don't want to say Resident Evil didn't nail ambience or anything like that back in the day, because they did, but with Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6, it wasn't about ambience, it was about shooting things. It was about zombies and fear. And I'm sure that stuff's going to be in this. But this is more like PT, it seems like, where it's very environmental and very slow and very prodding. And I think that this is a step in the right direction for Resident Evil. Resident Evil needed a shakeup, and Resident Evil's been being outdone by small teams with not a lot of money, like Red Barrels with Outlast, and everyone loves Soma and all these other games, and so this is a cool step in the right direction. And I think this is really maybe the biggest shock of the entire show. Not that Resident Evil 7 exists, but that it's a PSVR game.
Yeah.
It's coming to Xbox One and PC as well, and you can play it without VR on PlayStation 4. I want to be clear about that, but I'm stoked about it. I love Resident Evil, and not so much anymore, so this will hopefully get me back into it.
I'm really interested in how much it ties in with 1 through 6, because 1 through 6 obviously are so story-based to the point of, like, all right, guys, like, these characters are a little too conveniently connected, and now everybody, it's a little incestuous, you know? I'm sure that we'll get references to Umbrella and Wesker and this and that, but, like, I wonder if that's going to be more of, like, a completely separate thing, or if it is really going to be the characters show up and are in this world.
I could be making this up, but I think I read that it takes place before 6. But I don't even know what 6 was about, because it was not my kind of Resident Evil game. So I mean, yeah, we'll find out more. But it's just cool that the Capcom's kind of taking some notes and returning back to their roots, or whatever. I'm super interested to see how. Maybe we'll never know how this PSVR deal came about, because I'm sure Sony paid for it. But this is the right game to do it with, because I do think horror games specifically are going to be really quite. Like a bellwether for VR in terms of, like, if they're good, that's going to be a good, scary, fucked up experience for a lot of people. And I think that's what people are looking for. It's the same way I feel about space shooters, being in the cockpit or whatever. I feel like that's a natural fit for VR, and I feel like this is a natural fit too. The interesting thing I want to see is, like, how's combat going to play in VR? What's that going to be like? I mean, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered about this, but we have time to answer them. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's the other thing too with a game like Resident Evil. Like, you don't necessarily, well, at least old school Resident Evil, it was the kind of more janky aiming. So it's like, I think that with a DualShock in hand, with the VR headset, I don't think that's that bad. Like, they could actually make it work.
No, it should be quite scary. I just hope the enemies are kept to a minimum and all that kind of stuff.
Because it should be of note that the kitchen demo that we played, you were strapped in a chair, and you're sitting in the chair the whole time, so you're not moving around or doing any of that stuff. It was totally just looking around and scary shit happening, and it's not zombies. It was more like, scary ass grudge creatures and shit. So.
Right. Yeah, we'll see how it all works out. I don't think there's gonna be any locomotion with VR, but I do think that I'm sure you use your sticks, but it'll be more like rigs maybe, where it was like you can use your head to use one axis and then use the sticks to kind of control movement. Yeah. We'll see how it all plays out. But this is definitely on the radar, high up on it. Not that things are high up on radar, so it doesn't really make any sense, but you understand what I mean.
Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. What do you think of Resident Evil 7? Let us know in the comments below, and stay tuned to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames all week long for all of your E3 2016 needs.